I had to take a quick break from filming our most current machine, the Bernina 790 Pro, because some fabric that I had ordered from Spoonflower just arrived. Hi, I'm Sarah from sewingmastery.com, where we do free video tutorials on sewing machines, embroidery machines, and sergers. But every so often, I get to do a little sewing myself, and what I need to do, and I've noticed that during the summer, I wear like headbands, okay, out of kind of like a knit fabric. But I wanted to kind of make some of my own, and so number one, needed to do a little experimenting, and we have done some videos on what Spoonflower fabric is all about, and we'll do a quick link to my last one of fabric I ordered. We'll put that right up here. Spoonflower allows you to print your own fabric pictures or logos or such on a variety of different fabrics. I think there's usually like 20 plus different ones. And so since this was my first time printing a knit fabric, well, it's not my first, but it's my first official one. I picked out, by the way, you can get a sampler pack, which I highly recommend because you can touch and feel the fabrics. By the way, they also have wallpaper too, so there's some wallpaper samplings in here, different kinds if you're a wallpaper girl. Okay, the ones I had picked out, I mean, there's a point where what you can feel on a little square of fabric is enough, but you don't know what it's actually going to feel like. So I picked out modern jersey, organic cotton knit, and performance piqué, if I'm saying that right. And I had also wanted something colorful. Now, the other thing that Spoonflower has is that there is hundreds of thousands of designers, it's probably like tens of thousands, but it feels like forever, who have uploaded their own artwork. And then when you make the purchase of one of their art pieces on the fabric of your choice, they get credit for your purchase. So actually, a couple of these artists, there was two of them, actually reached out to me and said thank you for the order. And then also one of them asked what I was going to make and then offered if I ever needed the pattern bigger or smaller or in another color way, that she'd be more than happy to assist. And even offered if I ever needed something created, that she'd be happy to help, which I actually have a project that I'm thinking about doing later this year. And I'm like, yes, please, because I'm not so much the artist, but it would be really nice if somebody could just do what I have in my head and we could print that fabric and then it would be the base for maybe a class coming up. So we'll see. We'll see if I can do that. So I also have, don't ask me why, but I've kind of been interested in octopuses. And so I was looking for so I'll show you this one first. This one is actually a very colorful piece. So the other thing is a lot of these fabrics are wider than what you would normally get in a fabric store. So this is considered a fat quarter. Now you can see it's much longer and such, but this particular panel is how big it was and printed. So it printed off perfectly for a fat quarter. Well, I got half of a octopus over here, but this is gonna be perfect. And honestly, when I do the headbands, I'm gonna just really get the color. So if you kind of look right there, and that's fine. I think it's just because I love circles because of the Stitching Cosmos course, and circles and me just make me happy. This one is, I can tell. The other thing I didn't know is which way that it would print. So you know how like here, can you see how much stretchy it is like on this direction? So I didn't know specifically on my fat quarter, would it be stretchy this way or more stretchy this way? And it is, it's more stretchy this way. Okay, so this one actually turns out to be one of my favorites. This one was, okay, so here's another one. So this is more just circles, not so much octopus, but it did come up when I searched octopuses. So I love the fact that it has that. Now this one was a little bit more of, and I do like that they print on the edge, so at any given time you can reorder or know what you have. This one was the cotton spandex jersey. Yes. So I can tell it's a little heavier. So as a headband, this actually might be a little too thick for like being on your head when it's hot and you're sweating and such, but I am going to make it out of this too. But once again, which way does the stretch go? Now I know. So it goes this way. So, and it's good. It's still going to be a nice piece, but I feel like once I kind of get it all like sewed together, it could be a little heavy. And not heavy, but just based on how I'm going to use it. And then here's another one. I kind of went with, this one was a really big print, so I have a feeling based on, oh, that looks really pretty on there, by the way. Once again, kind of that octopus, the twist, the circles, the color, I just love it. So I'll probably kind of pick out a section to cut out, because I could technically make quite a few headbands from one of those. Then I also did one other thing. We took a logo. This is a boat logo, and it says "Just a Splash." I'll do a close-up picture for you too. But once again, I wanted my logo to be on some fabric, so I was kind of playing around with the same concepts as I just said. Again, I didn't know if the logo would go this way on the stretch or this way on the stretch, and which way would be right. So again, it was part of a sampling of understanding how fabric is printed, so documenting this as well. But I really like this one. That one's really nice. And then I also did this one on 2 different fabrics. So kind of like what I did before, but just a little darker. And then this one is back to that, kind of almost has more lycra in it and lightweight. I think this one's going to be my favorite. So, wow, I love it, that stretch, because, you know, when you're trying to hold your hair back for the day, that's exactly what you're looking for. So I feel like that's going to be kind of fun to have. All right, so this is the first step I wanted to walk through before I cut into this and start experimenting what this meant to first order it, not knowing what to expect, and then also too, how did it come before I start cutting it up. So with that, I have learned a lot in what it feels like, which ones are probably my favorite, but once I make them all, I am going to be making them for an upcoming trip, and then of course I'm going to be wearing them for the summer, I'll put together some pictures of the outcome, and also how did I go about making the headbands on a sewing machine, on a serger, yes, and also how to size it. So that is something I've actually never done, but I've got kind of one I can play with and kind of figure out what's easiest. So how hard can a headband be, right? All right, so join me as I work on this journey of something simple, something I'm working on. And you know, that's what sewing's all about, is being able to pick something that you want to make that you can't find in a store. I mean, I've gone and looked for headbands, and either it's not the right color or maybe it's just not the right size. Headbands for me, like this out of fabric, I lose them because if we're going fast and we're on a really fast boat, we have lost headbands because we've been going really fast in the wind. So I have lost a few of my favorites, hence how I decided to go about actually starting this project. So since we sew and since we love fabric and I love learning, this is how we're starting this next project. I hope you'll join me as we look at the next step of creating headbands. After trying a couple different headband styles, I have decided on a simple one with just one little twist, and that just works out perfect. I've cut the fabric 6 inches wide and 20 inches long. Now I'm going to actually do this both on the sewing machine, showing you which stitch we use here, and then also on the serger. Now I am going to time it so you can see how long it takes on both these machines and which one truly is faster. But how much faster is truly a great question. So I am going to link right up here to the video that I did find. It actually had 3 different headband styles, and it gave me the kind of foundation to start off with. So sometimes it's great to just have information at your fingertips. So I'm not going to redo the whole information, but definitely click on that link. I'll put the link in the description below. Make sure when you're over there, if you are watching that video, that you give that video a like, and that way you can say thank you to that creator as well. Okay, so this was my very first one. Then I moved on to a couple of the other fabric styles. I think that will be a fun one as well. And then this one. But now to work on kind of the real soft sheer one with the colorful print. And then I'll do this one on the serger. We start by just folding the fabric right sides together in a long tube, and then on the sewing machine we're going to use the stretch stitch. I always kind of call it a lightning bolt stitch, to stitch anywhere from 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch in from the edge. So we really just need to go all the way down, and then I'll show you how we use the sewing machine to stitch the ends together and how to make the twist. After sewing the tube together, love how that stitch is the perfect straight stitch. After you have sewed the edges together, go ahead and turn it right side out. To finish the ends and to add the twist, I'm going to lay out the fabric nice and flat. My seam is along one edge, and I'm going to take and flip one edge 180 degrees and then bring those edges together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the right sides together as much as I can. So right in here, this way I can do as much sewing and as little hand sewing as possible, but getting that whole point kind of done mostly on the machine. I love that. Also, too, you could do some of this on the serger, but it is easiest with this small little area that you're working in, and because you're going to have to stop and kind of readjust often. With doing this part on the sewing machine, your foot is shorter, not as long as a serger foot, so it actually makes sense to just come in here. You're going to stitch all the way around, get as far as you possibly can, and when you can't go any further, you're going to stop, and then you can just hand stitch the last couple. You're only going to have about an inch opening maybe, but that's all we need to do to finish the headband. I think this one's going to be one of my favorite. A little bit to hand stitch or not, but look how fun that headband is and all the stretch you need. Before I show you the serger version of the headband, I'm going to show you a little trick, and so you know we have to turn this right side out as soon as we're done. If you run your serger tail and make it long enough to lay inside the tube that you're about ready to serge, when you're done, you can just pull on this tail and it will turn the whole thing right side out. So just bring this around, lay it inside your strip, and then as you get ready to stitch, just make sure that it stays nice and in the middle of the actual piece. So this works with little straps, especially something like a spaghetti strap, but it's going to work perfect for the headband. Ready to see the trick at the end? Go ahead and start to pull and let that whole piece get pulled right into the middle and through. And that is why we do it on a serger.